the sweet, sweet memories you gave.
And thanks for coming to watch this video from Carolina Varsity. We're taking a look at the regional playoffs. We're in the West region, and we have a 2AA playoff game of #1 Monroe facing #1 Shelby. Jeff?
Yes, battle of state champions. Last year, Monroe won the 2AA, and last year Shelby won the 2A. Monroe was trying to defend that AA championship, and Shelby's trying to move up from the 2A champions to the 2AA.
Yeah.
So this will be an intriguing matchup for all you locals out there in the Cleveland, Gaston, and Lincoln area, and Rutherford and Burke. Anyway, but here's some of the lowdown on Monroe and Shelby. Shelby's offense has put up 3 games where they've scored over 50 points, 6 games over 40, and 3 games over 30. And they have pitched 4 shutouts on defense and held 5 teams to single digits. And Monroe has had 1 game where they've scored in the 60s and 2 in the 50s and 1 game in the 40s and 3 in the 30s, and still 2 shutouts and 5 single digits where they've held 5 opponents to single digits. And last week Shelby gave up the most points they have all season in a 48-33 victory over Hunter Huss. And that Hunter Huss was very impressive against Shelby, but Shelby eventually prevailed and held on for the 48-33 win. And the highest Monroe has given up was actually in the first game of the year, where they lost 45-37 to Sun Valley. Right. The lowest Shelby has scored all year was in the season finale against Crest, 21-19. That was a good game right there. Then the lowest Monroe has scored was 9 points in a 9-6 win over Cuthbertson. So there's a lot to weigh in and weigh out right here. I mean, this is going to be one of those games that's tough to call. If Shelby does not, get their defense back to what it was the week before, Monroe could cause some problems for that Shelby defense. But I think whatever kinks they had this past week on their defense, of course, I think Hunter Huss was to blame for some of that. I think this is going to be a tight ball game, but I still would give the edge to the home team.
Yeah, so you mentioned the Sun Valley game. It should also be mentioned that Sun Valley is a good 3A team, so they're a bigger school. And the other loss that Monroe has was to private state champion Charlotte Latin, and that was a 27-20 ball game. Now, what those 2 games tell me is that Monroe is, as we know, a good football team. And I think Monroe is a better football team than Hunter Huss all the way around. I saw how Hunter Huss last week played close, got down, and then came back, and then, of course, got back down again. So a game of spurts, I guess, for both. And Shelby had a little bit more in their favor. But that kind of tells me right there the number of points that they gave up to Huss. I think it's going to be a tough ball game for Shelby, a lot tougher ball game than maybe a lot of Shelby fans would want to think. I'm right now, personally, hard to call. That speed that Monroe's got, Shelby likes to air the ball out, throw the ball all over the field. I think that Monroe can bring a lot of pressure up front, and Monroe can cover. Now, Sun Valley was a big fat passing team too, and we see the kind of points that Sun Valley put up. So I think it's going to be a game that's going to have a lot of points in it, and it's going to be a close ball game. And I would say 1-score ball game.
And another thing, whatever you did last week against your opponent, East Lincoln, whatever you did last week, try and do something different, because Huss did that, and that confused Shelby early on, and I think that kind of threw the defense in a tizzy a little bit. So whatever you did last week is try and do something a little different to confuse them. That's what the coach told me after the Huss game.
What they did last week was overwhelm them with speed on defense. They shut them out. And that's one of the trademarks of Monroe is that fast swarming defense and that defensive line. Comment was made back a few weeks ago. I forget who made it now. It was Ladge who said that Monroe's a team that you can take a DE and drop him back to a DB. That's the kind of speed they've got. So they could take their DE, can step back and play cornerback. So I think really that's the trademark of Monroe and has been, and probably will continue to be. And that's what will carry them. And I think in this ball game will be their defense and their defensive speed is what's going to save them.
And this game is one of the 2 games that's on my radar to go to. So
there you go. I told him he should go to this game. It's one of the games I would consider, this one and that Weddington game. But okay, well, thanks for watching. Come to the site, tell us what you think, and hey, let us know what you think after the game. Thanks.
Some joy,
Sweet, sweet
memories
memories you
are
gave
made of this.
can't beat the memories you gave me.
Don't